In this video, I'm gonna show you 4 ways to make your gym conjugate friendly without breaking the bank. Step number 1, invest in resistance bands of multiple thicknesses. We can use resistance bands for so many things within the conjugate method. High volume band work, leg curls, banded pull throughs, banded good mornings, banded pushdowns, banded pull aparts, you name it, you can do a lot of things with these bands. Now, in addition to that, you can set up bands for things like deadlifts, box squats, bench press. However, that will require additional setup, which we will talk about. But if you don't have a setup to do something like a speed pull deadlift, you can take one of your resistance bands and do it like this. So you're gonna take your resistance band, drape it over the barbell, get it even on both sides, make sure it's set up right, stand on the band, and perform your speed pull deadlift. Now, caveat, it's not gonna be as much tension as it would be if you had something like a platform where you're using a band on both sides, but it's enough tension to get what you need from something like a speed pull deadlift while still being able to use accommodating based resistance. Step number 2, this is likely the biggest one, having a rack that has pins. Pins can be used for a variety of things like squats, presses, deadlifts. You can set up in the rack and do your rack pull deadlifts from a variety of heights. And this is a great way to build absolute strength. So when we are working with different sticking points within a lift, it is logical to think if we set up the bar in that position and working strategically from a disadvantage, then we can build things like absolute strength. So pins are an incredible tool. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have a rack that has pins, maybe I don't have space for that. If you don't, then you can certainly accentuate different portions of those lifts, your presses, your squats, your deadlift. You can implement strategic pauses, but pins are an incredible tool that we use a lot in my programming, and is one of those things that has allowed us to have variability to our strength programming with our big lifts, but also strategically work on those limiting factors. Okay, number 3, add a weighted vest. This is a 511 tactical vest. I'm not sponsored by them, but I love this vest because it stays in place when I'm doing whatever I'm doing. Now, when we're doing things like GPP work, trying to build work capacity, we can throw on the vest with our sled drags. We can even do resisted walking with the vest, which is a great way to not only add steps, but to throw in a little bit of resistance and maybe bring the heart rate up a little bit more than it would normally be if you were not wearing a vest. Other things that we could do are the obvious: weighted pull-ups, bar dips. We can even do plyometric variations, seated box jumps with an additional resistance with our vest is a great tool to change up the way we're doing those exercises, adding some more resistance and adding some novelty to otherwise just basic exercises that we would do unweighted. So an incredible tool that you can grab and apply a ton of different ways within conjugate programming. All right, our last point. Specialty bars. Most people associate the conjugate system with specialty bars. And I get the question all the time, do I need special equipment? Do I need to have band chains, yada, yada, yada? The short answer is no, you don't. You don't need anything here. You can get away with everything I have listed, not having it and still execute a true conjugate model. However, a specialty bar can have a number of benefits specifically for you. I get people all the time that say, I can't bench press with a straight bar, but when I use a football bar with a neutral grip, I don't have any issues. Or I can't back squat anymore, but when I use the safety squat bar, it feels okay. Now those are advantages because these are all different bars that have different stimulus. They will accentuate different musculature. For instance, when we are doing a football bar press, we're in a neutral position. So if you think about going from a straight position where there's potentially more internal rotation at the shoulder joint, we go to a neutral position where we can effectively centrate that glenohumeral joint and get more activation from triceps connected to the latissimus. This is going to allow us to press from more of a neutral position and thus give people a little bit better training effects in terms of staying away from those aching pains that they have with the straight bar version. So football bar is a tremendous thing. What I would recommend is invest in whatever works best for you. If you know you have shoulder issues, football bar might be the way to go. If you know that squatting with a straight bar is something that doesn't feel good for you, oh, and I forgot to mention, a lot of those retired meatheads, people like me, that get into a back squat and can't get into external rotation, bring them in front with a safety squat bar, now they've got no issues. So all of these bars here increase trainability. They also give you a different train effect as novelty to your programming. You can use them in different ways. So I think for anyone that's serious about training and investing in their home space, having at least one specialty bar that's applicable to your situation is gonna be the way to go. You could go with any one of these. Just for reference, we've got a safety squat bar, we've got a football bar, a fat bar. This is a neutral bar from American Barbell. And then I have a trap bar, which is something you can get on Amazon for pretty cheap. But any of these bars will have a special thing specific to you. Now, if you have no issues, which I don't know many people that don't have any issues, then you can add a bar and add some novelty to your training. And you know, trap bar is a good example. Maybe the bar gets away from you when you do straight bar deadlifts, but you bring it where you change the gravity line of that movement, and now all of a sudden you have a different training effect and obviously a different feel. So this can be something that can make your hinging pattern more trainable. And as I've said, with all of these, we want to increase trainability and reduce the risk of flaring up some of those nagging aches and pains. So these are all ways to do it. A little bit more expensive, but certainly a big bang for the buck. And conjugate can certainly be executed without specialty bars, but these are ways that you can improve your ability to get results long term and, of course, have more fun training.